What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Heavy Wrench. It's been a minute since I've done a video. I've been busy working, doing stuff. I'm trying to get after it. That's the basic, all of it right there. Today's the first day I had my camera charged and actually put it in the truck and remembered it. So right now it's in the afternoon, going out to do a job. I went out there earlier and last weekend actually. On Saturday, took the track apart, took the track adjuster out, was going to just do a reseal on it, and it's on a 200D, I think, John Deere excavator. Anyway, I was going to do the reseal on it. I found a broken spring, and the actual coil spring and the track adjuster is broken. So they ordered the assembly, they said it's in. We're going to drive there and take a look, and hopefully I'll be able to get a little film before it gets too dark of me doing the installation here. I did, for everybody that subscribes and has been asking about me getting a service truck, I do have a service truck. My service truck that I'm driving is a 2005 Sterling Acetera 11-foot auto crane body, 8,000 pound crane on it, wireless crane. It had no air compressor on it. When I bought it, it was an electrician's truck, is kind of what the registration and all that jazz said. So as far as the truck goes, it's got 211,000 miles on it. The hours, there's going to be some extra hours because it did have a crane ran off the PTO. So that does add hours, but if you get rid of that air compressor, oh man, a mechanic's truck, we run our air compressors quite a bit. Used to, at least, before the age of battery powered everything come up. So I'm going to shut the camera off. We're going to hop on a 2-lane blacktop here and shut the camera off. We'll pick back up when we're getting to the customer's yard. So hang in there. In just a second, we will be at the customer's yard.
So here we are at the customer's place here. I've got the track adjuster, the new one there. I'll show you later in the video why we had to replace the whole adjuster. I don't know if I did that on the intro or not. But either way, you have to take a ratchet strap of some sort and squeeze all the grease out the back where the track adjuster actually, where you can adjust it. That chrome piece you just seen there real quick, that's actually the rod for the track adjuster. So right here I'm just using a ratchet strap, sucking it back in so that way it can be collapsed all the way, confirming that that it's all the way in. So now we're actually going to set this track adjuster in. Coming apart, it did come apart pretty decent. The master pin on this one, I was able to get it out with sledgehammer, pin hammer, and a hand from one of the guys there, which is pretty common, kind of a two-man operation. So here I am. I'm going to set this down with the crane and slide it in place and get it back in there. I do make a sweet mistake and was rushing myself, I guess. I don't know exactly what happened here, but I didn't clean out where the actual idler goes yet. I usually try to do that before I stuff this in to confirm that you're not going to have anything, sitting up or messing you up. So here I am. I'm reaching down in there, making sure that the surface area where that if you look down on the right side there of the screen, you'll be able to see the track adjuster. Now that's the end that goes in back where I'm actually cleaning out, and that flange sits against the frame and it just sits there in place, and you have to just get it in there in place and you're good to go. But want to make sure there's no dirt on it, because dirt obviously will compress later and it could cause you a loose track, or you're not going to get the proper tension that you want out of the tracks. Now there is sag in the tracks and they're not super tight or anything, and it's probably not going to be a big deal. It's just one of those things I like to do, is make sure that you got it good and clean. So I'll take the strap off here and we'll get it in the rest of the way, and we'll see right next to my hands there on the inside of the track frame where the dirt's built up. I should have clearly had that cleaned out before I go to put the idler in. But next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the idler And I think I skip ahead here a little bit after I clean this out. Yeah, I just scrape it out with a pry bar like that. These machines are pretty, I mean, they're pretty forgiving with the dirt most of the time, but if you get a chance to clean it out, just scrape it out with a pry bar like I'm doing here, and then blow it out with a blowgun, and you'll be fine. You know, that's the biggest thing. Make sure the tops and bottoms are all clean. And, you know, it's really a simple thing to think about here. And now I'll stuff this idler in, and here I am. I got the idler in, cleaning out the hole on the one side. That's that new 14.4 snap-on die grinder. I use that for that portion of cleaning up that pin. It works out. It worked out pretty good just to do a quick thing like that. Didn't need the air hose. Here I'm going to take the track. I like splitting the tracks up at the front idler. Some guys like doing it at the sprocket. I like doing it at the idler myself. So here I am. I'm adjusting the machine up and down so that way the track actually moves along. The sprocket actually pulls the track to where I want it to be, where I hook it up. Here I hook the crane to the track pad, pull it up in place, and on this particular one here, these tracks are fairly new, but I put a bottle jack there in the front, and I leave that block laying there just because. A block is nice to have, and here's where I usually can pull with the crane enough to get that that chain to line up. Well, not in this case, because it was fairly new undercarriage that was put on. So it's one of those things you got to kind of hit and miss it, you know, wherever you can. But I actually end up having to use the machine here in a little bit, smacking it around, getting her tight. But that jack down at the bottom holds pressure up on that pad. Excuse me. And it keeps it held in place. So now I'm using the machine to actually pull forward, and it took a little bit here. It's not hard pressure, it's just I couldn't get that way with my crane. I probably could have used a come along of some sort, but the machine was easier, and all I do is I get it lined up here, set the pin hammer that I use in the other side to keep it straight, and then we just pound it in, and here's where we go from there. But once I get this in, I think it'll end up being I think we'll end up going back to video where I actually talk on camera for you, which is going to be good, because now I'm just wrapping everything up, kind of making sure everything's good to go, and I'm trying to find where I'm at in editing right now.
Alright, well, you should have just seen some, hopefully you guys just seen the track pin installation. I'm going to show you where we're at right now. It's gotten dark on us, but I'm still trying to get everything done. I got the track pads to put on, but here's what I did. I'll show you what I did here, and pretty common to do if you have to, if you're using a used set of tracks. So these tracks aren't in really bad shape. It's actually pretty good undercarriage, but they're a little stiff. No big deal. So I'll show you what I got, and let's get after it. Before I get too much further here, I'll show you why we did the whole. I'll show you what we had going on here. We had this broken spring. That spring actually broke, and everybody wants to talk, you know, say how dangerous they are to undo a 30-30 brake chamber, and which is super dangerous. But these springs here get compressed as well in a press. Instead of doing that, we did buy the assembly, an aftermarket assembly for it. It's here in a couple of days. We had one dangling roller on that side, so I replaced that while it was there. The rest of the rollers looked pretty good. Got one more to do on this side. I don't know which one it was, but there was one that was dangling. So, but we're gonna put these track pads on and call this one a wrap for now. Well, we welded up the end of the pin. It had a, if you look here, right here at this, you probably can't see it, it's too dark. There you go. Right there in the center of the screen, you see that pin. That pin did not want to come out. It was seized. Instead of doing that, I welded the top and bottom, made sure the keepers. The pin drove in tight, and instead of using that bar keeper, it would just weld them on with a couple 1-inch welds there. It pounded in hard, so we're gonna get to set you up here, and we'll put these track pads on. All right, I believe in cleaning these off. I got this little die grinder. Seems to work pretty good for stuff like this. Just like to guarantee that we're not going to get any dirt or rust build up to let them come loose later on. You know, a lot of guys don't give a crap about doing that, but it's an important step to get that rust and that flake off of it and that mud, because then you will get a solid steel to steel you know, surface. So it just makes it tighter where you can get it good and be done with it so they don't come loose later. Well, it lasted for those 2 track pads, so should be good. I always like to use new hardware. It's just worth it for me. Instead of screwing around with old hardware, I saved some of the hardware. It came out, but when I removed it, but it's not worth it for the little bit of cost, for the guarantee of not having a customer call you back because of a loose bolt of some sort. So we'll get my impact set up, fire up the compressor, and oil these bolts and put them in. I am running a gas-powered compressor, so it's probably hard to hear. Straighten that out. A little tool oil, and then that's what I run on the bolts too. Air tool oil, it works. I don't always have to be whatever oil you got, really. As long as you get some oil, it'll allow you to get a better thread. A little more torque. Clean these up too. One. That one. These track nuts, if you've never used these, there's a square side here, a rounded side there. The square side goes up into it sits into this groove up here. So keep that in mind. Oh my gosh. You'll never guess what. You'll never guess what. Look what they did. Wrong size nuts right from the dealer. Well, looks like it's not getting done tonight. We got the right bolts, we need the right nuts. So we'll have to return those in the morning and come back tomorrow and finish it up. Apparently, it's not in the cards for today. Maybe that's just the way of, you know, telling me it's time to go home. So I guess we'll wrap up for the night here and call it good. We're done welding, so I can hook the battery back up. We'll get that portion done, so then it's at least mobile for them for tomorrow. Get this all clamped on here, shut these doors up. You know, it's kind of crazy how the repairs like this come along, and you know, it's just a repair. You know, a track adjuster seal turns into a whole track adjuster assembly, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. You know, which is not uncommon by any means. Make sure we seat that battery cable nice and tight. Use my special hammer. Oh boy. Well, we'll get the battery hooked up and tight, and when I went to weld on it, I disconnect the batteries, which is a very good practice for anybody to start doing, because the more ECMs and controllers that we have on machines, the more likely that voltage spike could cause some serious damage. I'll take those back in the morning, or call them in the morning and see what they want to do. But hopefully you guys enjoy this content. And like I said, the last thing I have to do is get the pads on it, which, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll save this video for tomorrow or something, and you know, maybe I'll edit some tomorrow and save the final for tomorrow afternoon when I come back here to do that. But it's definitely working out good. The truck's working out good. I told you about that earlier, a few minutes ago. Here we are back the next day, and I actually have the proper size nuts to go on the track bed. So we get compressor fired up, zoom in down here, and we're gonna give her tighten up these pads, and we'll get out of here. Alright, 593 foot-pounds is what they're torqued to. They're all torqued. I do run them down with my 3/4 gun. Not all the way, but you know, give them a couple taps and then torque them up into place. This is done. I had to do final adjustment on the track. I'm going to run it around a few times more and let her settle and check the tension. So that should do it for this repair. Thanks for tuning in. Phone call. Thanks for tuning in, I appreciate it. As always, hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Let me know what you think of this repair video. I know it's kind of cobbled up. I'm having a tough time editing last night, trying to get through all the stuff. It's going to be a long one. So I appreciate it. Have a great day, and stay safe out there.